Hi there, this is Sherry Hayes with momdelights.com, and I've been homeschooling for over 3 decades, and I can tell you that something that I have really needed is homeschool sanity. If you're the same, stay tuned. Yeah, I've been through all the different paces and all the different stuff because, I've had 15 children. We're still homeschooling 2 of them. And so we've graduated 13. And lots of different things and seasons and trials and experiments. Our oldest has had the most experiments, I think, of any of the kids, and she's still alive. Anyway, so I wrote a book, and I published it in 2012. So it's a little old, maybe a little dated a little bit, but someone had suggested that they want me to go through this book and kind of share a lot of the different things that caused me to write this book. I'm also a huge researcher, and I love to take something and just go deep dive on it and find everything I can about it. I don't know if you're like that. Some of us are, some of us aren't. Sometimes I get lost. But anyway, so I thought that it would be really great to spend some time going through this book and just little by little share some little nuggets. I've shared a lot of this stuff in little increments on different video posts, and also blog posts on my blog. It's on my website, momdelights.com. And so, you can find more information on all this stuff if you go there. I have on my website, momdelights.com, I have all kinds of free downloads. So, there's all kinds of, there's record keeping stuff, and there are McGuffey's and Charlotte Mason lesson stuff. There are actually unit studies that are free. I have notebooking pages that are free. I have charts and different printouts that you can use. So, just feel free to go there and go on the freebies. I hopefully have caught up on everything that's free there, so that's all in one place. Or you can just read the different blog posts and just glean a lot of information that way. Or you could just watch the videos and stuff like that. But anyway, when I first started out, I'm going to give a little testimony, homeschool testimony. Okay, so when I was in the United States Army and I had 1 baby, my best Christian friend was the wife of one of my fellow soldiers. I know it sounds weird now. I mean, it's so far removed from my life. Anyway, and by the way, I do not believe that women belong in the Army, okay? It doesn't mean that all the women who have served don't deserve honor for their service, okay? I want to make that distinction. I mean, anyone who served, it's not a perfect world, and we all do different things, and different things are required, but I do not believe that's God's ultimate, role for women. Now, having said that, when I was in the Army, now, this Christian friend that I had, she was mentoring me in the things of God. And so she's kind of turned me on into thinking of my Christian walk as being more as an actual female woman, biblical woman, how it looked, that picture. And so she had decided, she had a little 3-year-old and she was expecting her second baby. And she and her husband had decided they were going to homeschool. Now, keep in mind that this was in 1984. In 1984, I thought she had lost her mind, and I argued with her for about an hour. But fast forward to when our oldest little girl was 6 years old, and I knew I had to do something. Well, back then, you didn't automatically enroll everybody in preschool, all right? It was kindergarten. I think it was when she was 5, I started thinking about things and wondering what I was going to do. And I went to a church where there was a really nice homeschool presence. And so even though it was in the real beginnings of it was 1989-ish, I was really intrigued by the homeschooling thing, but I wasn't 100%. I mean, I was trying to find a way to get our daughter into a Christian school because I knew I didn't want her to go to public school. But at the same time, we looked at the price. It was just too much. And so I thought, well, I'll just have to do this homeschool thing, and I wasn't sure how. And my mom, bless her heart, she bought some curriculum from a company. She was willing to do whatever I wanted. She just wanted to be a support to me. So I said, well, there's this company, and I think we should, I think it was Calvert or something. And so we ordered it, and I absolutely had no idea what to do with it. And I really tried it. It was based on Abeka for the learning to read, and it went way too fast for my daughter. She was not ready to read yet, and I didn't know anything about that either, right? I mean, I just picked out some books from the library and read them, but I really had no idea how to teach someone how to read. I didn't know anything. I was, lost. And from there, I went to Rod and Staff and did that for a while. And then I started getting an inkling that there probably were better ways to do things. And I also did Bob Jones. Did Rod and Staff, and I did Bob Jones curriculum for a while. And that was really pretty pricey, especially for our poor family. And all the time I was having more and more little babies. And I noticed, I was trying to do the curriculum thing, and I got this, morning sickness with one of our babies. And I just decided I'm just too sick to do anything. I'm just going to read books out loud to the kids. So I started reading books out loud, and we just had so much fun. It was like the best part of our day when all the little kids were resting, and they would, little babies fell asleep, and I would just read books out loud. I thought, this is so fun, but I didn't know it was a thing. I thought I was just, trying to make the best of a bad situation. I didn't really realize that that was like the core of it, right? So then I started, Karen Andriola, who's written Charlotte Mason Companion, I kind of got some of her articles. I started reading, there's I think not Homeschool Digest. I did read Homeschool Digest and Homeschool World, and, let's see, Mary Pride stuff. And then I started getting in touch with Dr. Raymond and Dorothy Moore stuff, and I started reading their stuff, and my mind started to be blown, and I started to hear things like unit study and Charlotte Mason method, and everything just like, whoa, and so then I started delving into that stuff. And a lot of it I couldn't put in place because I had too many little people. I couldn't go, and I was, I was either morning sickness or postpartum or something, and so I couldn't do a lot of the stuff that was suggested, like all the unit study activities, and I couldn't necessarily go every day on a long nature walk, and I felt bad about that, right? And I felt bad that I was having all this pressure. Now, before it was pressure, like you got to buy a certain curriculum and you got to get the curriculum done, and you've got to get all the, and everybody's got to have their separate things, and you got to keep up and got to check them, and and so that was pressure filled, right? And my poor son, he's so smart, but he would fill it, and he's so compliant. So we would have the Rod and Staff where you have to fill out. He would fill out page after page after page after page, and just kind of like this the whole time, and I felt like I was, stifling him, stumbling him, whatever. And I didn't realize, though, that when you go to the other side where you ditch all of the boxed curriculum, then you got all this other pressure because, under Charlotte Mason, there are requirements, and there's like you have this, and this, and then, that's really pressure too. And then if you do the unit studies, then you've got to make sure you get this kind of activity and that kind of activity and that kind, and then you're like, I can't do that. I can't keep up with it all. Then if you go into classical Charlotte Mason, then you've got all the different, dialectic and all the different things, and then you've got to, teach them Latin, you got to teach them Greek, you got to and I thought, there's no way I can keep up with all that, and I was about to go crazy, and that's why I needed Homeschool Sanity. And what I did is I started doing research, and what I did is I started narrowing the basics, the most important parts of homeschooling down into something really simple. I like to take complicated things and narrow them down into something that makes sense, that I can grasp with my little pea brain. And I believe that the gospel is simple. I believe, and I'm reading Corrie ten Boom kind of helped me with this, but you see, she used to work with people that were mentally challenged there in Holland. And she actually found that the gospel is so simple that someone with a childlike mind can grasp it, right? And yet it's so profound and so extremely, like there's no end to the different levels, right? So that it will take us an eternity to even understand, even peel off the layers of God's amazing love. His intellect, his creative ability will never come to the end of it. But the way to salvation is so simple that a child can understand, because Jesus said you have to be a child to enter into the kingdom of heaven. You have to go down to the very basics. Well, I believe that homeschooling, as God has instituted that in our lives as a measure to take and rescue us from the destructive designs that the devil has for our families, for our nation, that this is kind of like the ark, okay? I know this is like, I don't know if everybody's going to get this, but I believe that homeschoolers are preserving the heart of the plans that God has for humanity with homeschooling. Now, that doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean we always got it right. But we keep trying, but he sees our hearts, right? That we're attempting to obey him. We're attempting to obey him and to live our lives in agreement with his purposes. And when we do that, we make all kinds of mistakes. It kind of looks weird sometimes, but God honors that we have that, right? We have that desire. And so I believe that in homeschooling, what are we doing? We are resurrecting the Christian foundations of our government, which are by and large being destroyed, right? But we are an ark. We are preserving that. If you look around at all the Christian homeschooling materials, it's an effort to encapsulate and preserve that. And we're also working to preserve the original intent for God as is in families. His institution is family. So we're attempting to preserve that at the same time. So when we look at that, then God's got to have his purpose in homeschooling that can be simple enough for this childlike brain to understand it. Because God doesn't make things so secret and so complicated that you can't get them. He puts them out plain sight. Jesus said that you have to have ears to hear, but he made it very plain and very simple. But you just had to have an ear to hear what he was saying. And so that's what we have to do. So that's why I wrote Homeschool Sanity, because I wanted to make it as simplified as possible. I have since simplified it even further. And as we're going to this book, I am going to take and teach you the very most simple way of looking at education. And let me give you a preview. This right here is a board, right? And it has the basics, okay? This is what true education is. First off, it is the child's relation to God and man. Second, it is about giving children tools. Third is about content. And fourth is about application and life skills. So you can see that that's really the essence of what I have learned and what I have narrowed everything down to. Now, how that looks and how you flesh it out and how you do it every day in a practical way, that's kind of what we're going to go over. Now, some of this stuff, since I've written this book, I might agree with it, might not. No, a lot of it is still true. And I have some historical information. I've got quotes. I've got all kinds of stuff in there. So, but this is really basically what I've come to. And I have blog posts about that. I have videos I've done in that. So you can find those. Maybe I'll link them below. I'm not sure. But anyway, so that's it in a nutshell. Maybe that's it in a nutshell. I hope you stay tuned, and next time we'll just go into the book and we'll start getting into the meat, okay? So now I'll give you something more. Now, people have said that they really like these something more things, and I'm really glad. I just wanted to share something my husband shared with us this morning. He brought us the word, and it was really sweet. And he took us to Joshua, and he took us to chapter 1. And he had us read over and over where God told Joshua to be strong and very courageous. And I think as homeschooling, especially when we're talking about homeschool sanity, I think that's where we need to begin. We need to realize that none of us is very good at what we're doing. I mean, maybe there's the exception. I wasn't the exception. And it's almost scary sometimes to think of all the responsibility we're taking on for each child, isn't it? Because if things go wrong, there's no one else to blame. It's on us. But we have to remember that Jesus, he's the one that sticks closer to the brother, right? And he said to be strong and very courageous. Don't give up. Don't give in. Don't worry that you don't have it all right. Don't worry that you don't have it all figured out. Just keep making steps And God will lead you, and He will guide you as you trust Him. And yeah, you'll mess up. You know, our oldest daughter, she knows we're messed up. You know, she's been on here before. And she'll tell you. But she's here today, you know, and she loves the Lord. She's married to a man. He was homeschooled, and he loves the Lord. They have 4 wonderful children, little rambunctious, yes. But you know what? They're such kind and wonderful people. And that's because we took the time to listen to God and pour into them. And you know, it may not look like anything. And there are some kids, they're still not there, even in our family. Okay, even some grown children. But I believe God, and I believe what He told me to do, and I'm not giving up, and I'm not giving in, and I do not give any place to the devil that he has any place in their lives or mine. I believe in faith, I see in faith, and I walk in faith, and I continue to be courageous because that's what God said to be. So I hope this blesses you. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Please like and subscribe. Bye-bye.